So if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, there's a pretty good chance that part of your personality was shaped by popular culture. For me, one of my biggest influences was a fictional cartoon family. A yellow cartoon family. And if you own a TV, you already know exactly who I'm referring to. And if you don't, you truly missed out on the golden era of animated television. I am, of course, talking about The Simpsons. Man, to this day, I reference that show all the time. Like random lines or random scenes will just pop into my head at any given moment that somehow relate to whatever it is I'm doing. Because for my generation, The Simpsons wasn't just a TV show, it was cultural DNA. And it basically babysat us in the best possible way. Sunday night primetime, midweek reruns, we were there, our parents liked it too, they were like, it's a cartoon, like how bad can this be? So we consumed as much of it as possible, this dysfunctional, colorful, lovable family. And as a kid, I was a Bart guy. I was all about Bart. I even had that Simpsons Sing the Blues cassette tape, and I regularly did the Bartman. Fortunately, I left those dance moves in the 90s with my slingshot and Butterfinger. But then when I became a teenager, I was all about Homer. He just got dumber and funnier as the show went on.
Le Grill? What the hell is that?
And in turn, he blessed us with a ton of quotable lines. Everything from
stupider like a fox
to
easier on the what now?
He wasn't super relatable yet, but he was hilarious. And now as a father, it's kind of cathartic to watch those old episodes and enjoy Homer on a completely different level. See, he loves his family fiercely. He works a soul-crushing job, poorly. He tries, and he fails spectacularly. And that, to me, is human as hell. And what's wild is Homer's only 39 on the show, which means that I'm officially now older and balder than Homer Simpson. And yes, heavier. However, I'm not heavy from sloth and gluttony. A lot of mine comes from weight training. But regardless, it's still a pretty weird realization. And when I was a kid, Homer seemed like a full-grown adult, like he had life figured out. Now I realize he absolutely did not. But I loved all the characters. There were very few that I disliked. All of them made just as much as an impact as the rest. Even Marge, Lisa, Maggie, they were beloved by everyone. And Lisa planted seeds too. She always found really clever ways to educate us. I mean, who didn't learn about the Coriolis effect from Bart and Lisa racing bathroom products down the bathroom sink? Or that chaining up an elephant in the backyard is cruel. The show was good like that.
Oh, everything's cruel according to you.
Marge was basically a second mother to us. Maggie felt like a little sister. But it was each supporting character that truly made the show worth watching. Some of my personal favorites, Lionel Hutz, Troy McClure, Moe, Duffman, and Hans Moleman. Honestly, they're all great, but I'm particularly fond of the ones voiced by the late Phil Hartman. I mean, the guy was a legend. And then there's some that unintentionally stand out, like Ralph Wiggum. Ah, Ralph. Where would we all be without his blissful ignorance and profound wisdom?
Go banana!
And if you remember his iconic I Choo Choo Choose You Valentine that Lisa gives to him, I actually handmade a replica of it one year, and I gave it to my wife for Valentine's Day. And that remains probably one of the most smoothest things I've ever done, if I'm being honest, and probably one of the reasons that she actually married me. But that's how the show impacted our lives, I actually turned this scene into this real-life, thoughtful gesture. By the way, she loved it, and she hung it on the fridge for years. I think she even still has it. But it's not just the quotes or the references, that impacted the culture. Simpsons memes have saturated the internet as well. I mean, we've got the infamous Homer backing into the hedges. We got Ralph's
I'm in danger!
Principal Skinner.
Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
And there's so many iterations of Lisa on the stage with that prompter. That's, pretty iconic by now. But the cultural impact that the show had on all of us was pretty astonishing, and it's likely to stand the test of time. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's the longest running animated series on TV. Granted, the later seasons have sort of lost what made it so special, but those first 10, maybe some would say 14 seasons are absolute gold, in my opinion. Ridiculously quotable.
We got beats!
Forever rewatchable, at least to me. I mean, I can watch Marge versus the Monorail, Homer the Heretic, or Homer versus the City of New York for what would now be the 1,000th time, and I still laugh. The writing was sharp, the jokes were timeless, and today, they're more than just episodes, they're actually treasured memories. Again, the modern seasons, they're less quotable, less relatable, and in my opinion, they're just not the same. Not even close, really. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but ultimately nothing lasts forever. And to be fair, they had some powerhouse writers in the early days. But back then, the show was able to mix wholesome family values and subtle faith nods, rebellious kids, and even controversial subjects. But it was done with an everlasting fondness and subtle grace few shows have ever replicated, though some have come close. But it taught us life lessons without saying, here's your life lesson, kids. It wasn't very, it wasn't cringe. But there's so much stuff like...
Can it outrun the Flash?
You bet.
Can Superman outrun the Flash?
Sure, why not?
Or...
Mountain of sugar is too much for one man.
And we must never forget...
A Jolly Rancher is not a sprinkle, sir. Perhaps in Shangri-La they are, but not here.
But somehow this wacky, off-the-wall cartoon family was still able to capture these tender moments and remind us that no family's perfect, but even imperfect families are still capable of showing love. And it still blows my mind that a TV family truly influenced an entire generation. So if a cartoon taught me all my important and ridiculous life lessons and all the random facts and knowledge that I have, I'm more than okay with that, because if you had to learn about love or failure, endurance, and absurdity somewhere, The Simpsons was a pretty good place to start, and I think it's where a lot of us did, especially the Xennials and Millennials. And we can't forget, the tail end of Gen X. But I want to know what you think. What's your favorite Simpsons episode, or quote, or meme, or just, memory that you have of them? And put it in the comments below and we'll talk about it. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you like what I'm doing here, and I will see you again in the next one.